and thank you everyone for coming in today. I don't know whether it was by design or by fortitude. This topic says optimizing service delivery of Fintech enterprise blueprint, but here we have 3 GCCs. So, are you all familiar with GCCs? Global Capability Centers? There are about 1,700 of them in India today. And in the last 5 years, about 30% growth has been seen in this category. And they employ more than 1.9 million people. It's a huge amount of employment, a lot of jobs. But why do they come here? Begs the question, right? I mean, of course, they come for the talent, the people that are there in India, the technology talent that is there. They come for optimum costs that they achieve by doing service delivery from India. They come from innovation. They come from innovation from the startup community and different SMEs that are there in the country. They come for supportive policies and the infrastructure that is there in different cities. Even in Bhubaneswar, we have seen great infrastructure. But I think the most important reason why GCCs come to India today is because of the fact that in India, you excel when it comes to service delivery. The years of experience that India has, more than 30 years of experience of doing tech out of India, the talent that is available, the people experience that is there, it enables you to really deliver services very effectively. And I think that's something that we want to explore, different facets of technology service delivery that we want to explore from a big company perspective is what we could do in this panel. And the last panel was very interesting and very entertaining. I hope we are able to entertain you like we did, right? So before just getting in, I know some introductions were made for some of the speakers, but they're all great personalities in their own right. So can I request all of you to just do a quick round of introductions, 30 seconds just to talk about what all you do, what all your organization does. So please pick up the mic. Kedar, start with you.
Thanks, Achyut. Hopefully this is audible.
Yeah.
Thanks, Achyut, for setting the stage. Kedar Kasture. I head investment operations for Franklin Templeton globally. Franklin Templeton is a 1.7 trillion investment manager. We manage money on behalf of our clients globally. We're 9,000 people, of which 2,000 are in India. I also act as the head of the India corporate centers that are based in Hyderabad, Mumbai, and Chennai. I'm part of the nasscom Regional Council for the state of Telangana. I also am part of the AmCham DNI committee, and so happy to be here in Bhubaneswar with all of you. Thanks.
Yeah, Prabhu, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I'm really thrilled to be here. Thank you for having us. I do come to Bhubaneswar because we work with KIIT here in Bhubaneswar for the early talent program. My name is PD Duraiswami. I work for a company called Chicago Mercantile Exchange. We are about 180 years old. We are a $6 billion revenue company, a revenue year company, about $80 billion market cap. We are in the futures and options business. We touch about 20% of the global economy. When you think about equities, interest rate, metals, foreign exchange, commodities, we touch every one of those segments. We have been here in India for about 9 years. We are very new. We are growing rapidly. A little over a fourth of the companies now in India. We came here for talent. I can talk a little bit about that, Achyut, if that's what the focus should be or could be. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Prabhu. And Amit.
Hi, my name is Amit Mitra. Some of you who think that this is born out of James Bond, that's not true. My roots are in Bengal, but I've never lived there. I've lived in the southern part of the country, but I travel all over the place, which basically makes me a very proud Indian because I find it difficult to locate where I exactly belong. I belong everywhere in India. But I travel along in different places, which makes me a citizen of the globe. I happen to be the Chief Operating Officer for Broadridge, India. Broadridge is an organization which is into the financial services world. It's a $6 billion company, headquartered in New York. In India, we have 3 locations, Hyderabad, Bangalore, and Mumbai. And we would like to, of course, grow. Our vision is to enable better financial lives for pretty much everybody who like to make any investment happen. So anybody who likes to invest, which should be going through some of the products and services that we provide. and we would like to make that enjoyable experience for everybody. That's what we live as our vision day in and day out, and that's what we would like to build as culture across the board. Absolutely a pleasure to be here and be amongst a very elite panel and amongst all of you.
Thank you, Amit. So you see, all our GCCs, banking GCCs, but very different in the background and the kind of work they do. So what we thought is that the way we will do this, we'll try to cover different facets of service delivery. You know, something like the core service areas, the technology enablement, areas such as, innovation, R&D, all that we'll cover, right? And maybe what I'll do is that I'll start each of the questions, maybe give it to one of you to start with. And, the rest of you, please feel free to pick up the mic and comment on it as you feel, right? So the first question, Amit, we come back to you, right? When you say core service areas that needs to be optimized for service delivery, what are the different areas that you look at?
I think that's a great question. And when you look at a fintech organization that we are, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you are aware of fintechs, unfortunately, fintech has been associated only with some of the neobanks and potentially some of the lending clubs that have come up more recently, or even the robo-advisors. But fintech is nothing but an intersection of finance and technology. So anybody who is in financial services and is leveraging technology to make financial lives better is a fintech. And of course, all of us fall in that category, and I'm pretty sure there are a lot of you in the audience who is a fintech. We are, of course, a large enterprise, and that's only because we have been around for a very, very long time. We have a legacy, Broadridge has a legacy of about 60 years now. And of course, I know that some of my other colleagues have go back even longer. So we are organizations which has a huge amount of responsibility with handling the finances of a very large population in the globe. In order for us to do that, if you have to compare yourselves with what we do, because we are in the investment life cycle, you can also compare this with the banking life cycle, which makes it a little bit of an easier comparison for you, because I'm pretty sure all of you have a bank account. All of you would like to access it very regularly. Imagine your bank account, shutting down one day on you. Imagine a bank account showing you an incorrect number. Imagine you are expecting, say, 2 lakhs in your bank account, but it is only showing 20,000. Imagine not being able to call up the bank and understand what is the discrepancy. Imagine that you have all of this in not just your bank, but also your investments that you have made in LIC, or investments that you have made in insurance, or investments that you have made in the stock market. If you take this as the backdrop in which we all operate, you will see that there is a tremendous amount of responsibility that we have towards our clients. And hence, when you are in this industry, you come in with a significant amount of responsibility towards your customers. So understanding that customer journey, how your customer experiences your products and services, ensuring that it is rock solid. When whatever service you're providing, it needs to be absolutely rock solid. Your service cannot be down. Your service cannot be giving variability in the experience. It has to be highly responsible. It has to be highly responsive. It needs to turn around really quickly. And it has to leverage the new technologies that are coming to make their experience better and better. So you need a solid set of products that services everything that your customer experiences. At the same time, you need a very, very solid customer service layer on top of it, which provides you a significant amount of enrichment to the customer journey that comes in.
Thank you. And Amit, great point that you brought around, that your service delivery is completely focused on how your customer is able to experience your services. Anything you want to add, Kedar, PD?
Yeah, sure. And, hopefully this is audible, right? So completely agree with everything that Amit said, and the point about the fact that all of us here in this panel operate in the financial services space, and we are custodians of trust, is something that underpins service delivery globally, right, and certainly in India. We talked about certain aspects previously about cybersecurity, and those are foundational in terms of the way that we work. But it's also going beyond the trust aspect, is how do you further the agenda of the larger parent organization, if I were to call it, and being customer-centric is the starting point for great service delivery. And so when you think of the kind of customers that you are eventually servicing that comprise the revenue that you bring in from a firm perspective, it's very important to be able to understand where the customer is going. In some cases, being able to predict what customers' needs might be even before they manifest, and be able to align your service delivery capabilities alongside that. So I'll just add to Amit's sort of perspectives to say that the client is the starting point for the service delivery journey.
Agree, and I think great that you brought out the ability to predict the customer journeys as a great starting point, because that's the next area that we want to start with, and maybe Prabhu, you can, PD, you can get started on that. I think we want to cover technology enablement, how you are using technology for, basically the optimizing your service delivery. So cloud today has become the backbone of all service delivery in technology. Now there is an alternate school of thought which says today, some people are saying no cloud, there is no ROI, and we need to go back to the old systems of keeping data in-house and all. So putting that chatter aside, what could you share some specific insights when it comes to how you are using cloud infrastructure and how that is contributing to optimizing your service delivery? If you agree to the point that cloud is doing that.
No, I fully agree. I would put it this way: many firms have gone through the cloud journey for at least a decade. Even longer than that. Our journey with Google started a couple of years back. We can debate aspects of return on investment. We can debate about how quickly you move, how much of data you move. For me, the most important thing is what it's brought to us at CME is the ability for us to take risks. What I mean by that, the cost of experimentation, the cost of taking risk has dramatically gone down for us with cloud. Pre-cloud, any new project, any new investment, new geographies we want to tap into, new customer bases we want to attract would be expensive. We spend a lot of time talking about, is this a viable opportunity? What is the ROI? So with cloud, that has dramatically changed for us. I can tell you one other thing that will connect the customer centricity. We are trying to build cloud with our customers. It's an ecosystem for us, right? So for us, our customers are co-located in the same facility where we have our on-prem servers. So the words like variability, everybody has the same access to our servers, our trading platforms. We need to replicate the exact same thing in a Google environment. So for us, Google is building out a new region just for us, where we would, along with our customers, be in the same location. So I don't think it is just about ROI. It's just not about elasticity. It's just not about available anywhere all the time. There are other aspects that, for sure, the other gentlemen also agree that there are other aspects that are very relevant to fintechs, at least.
Sure. So at least you have made your side clear that you are on the cloud side, not on the anti-cloud side. So I think that's one takeaway, definitely. Anything you want to add, Amit?
Sure. So I would only add that when we started our journey, we started with AWS, and we then explored Google Cloud as well. We also
when did you do that?
That was about 5 years back when we went to Google.
So you were late there.
Well.
We did AWS about 10 years back.
Oh.
And then we said, okay, listen, this is the direction we're going in, and there are many reasons for that.
Okay, so I take my comment back. You are late.
So in our experience, what ends up happening is it's really a question of where do you want to spend your talent dollars in, right? Do you want to spend your talent dollars into innovating for your client? Or do you want your talent to maintain your infrastructure? If you're in a journey as an organization where your growth significantly depends upon how quickly you're able to bring new solutions to your customers, you would like somebody else to take the heavy lifting for you.
Right.
And that's where your cloud strategy is extremely important. Cloud also enables, of course, a lot more, because I know we are going to talk about AI also, and the last panel spoke about AI. A lot of AI is really about the data. And your data today is getting generated in all kinds of locations. You need a central place where you need to bring that. And cloud happens to be a great place to do that. So for various reasons, your strategy, cloud can be your strategy, not just your infra provider.
Yeah, I think good that you brought out the point on priority. What's priority for me? Where should I invest my dollars in? Because I think in the previous panel we heard a discussion where I think Jaspreet had pointed out the cybersecurity issue of data being 100 years old. But I would question the relevance of having data 100 years old in your cloud infrastructure and how you would use that. But I think organizations have their principles, policies. Anything you want to add, Kedar, or we move to the next one? So, Amit, RPA. Interesting thing about banking, the BFSI sector, is that it has been the largest consumer of technology. 40% of industry revenues for India comes from the BFSI sector. But what we have seen often, they also adopt technology at a slightly slower pace, but when they adopt it, they go full steam. I think RPA has been there for a long time, for a lot of sectors, I think for BFSI also. So you've done some applications in your organization. Amit, would you like to elaborate on that and how it has made service delivery much better?
Absolutely, Achyuta. So the idea about RPA, which is robotic process automation, I'm sure some of you have heard about it, some of you already implement it in your organizations. Essentially, the moment you have a business process within your organization, it qualifies for an RPA implementation. The moment you have any business process. But should you use RPA or not is a completely different question. I will tell you, I have had both good experience as well as bad experience with RPA. The good part is that it is a very good bridge between where you are and where you want to be. If where you want to be is to leverage AI, is to leverage a lot of data and build a lot of intelligence into your business processes and take a lot of cost out, be really agile, you need to be in a future where AI plays a huge role. However, you can't do that in day one, day two. There are a lot of processes within your business process which are highly mature. So look at your business process. If you find highly mature business processes, they are really good candidates for RPA. You should be able to build bots around those very mature business processes. But where it can go wrong is this. One is, because of your processes, in our case, of course, we have been having processes for a very long time. Nobody really questioned those processes. Now, these have served its purpose and maybe outlived their purpose. Now, what we took is, we took a very old process which could have been made much better. Instead of making it better, we just automated it. And so now a bad process is automated. Now it may be doing the bad thing much quicker. Now, is it a good thing? Is something that you need to evaluate. The second part that you need to also think about is when you are implementing bots, you have a bot swarm. It's like a digital labor for you. So you have real labor and you have digital labor. Now, what you're trying to do now is that because you have digital labor, you have taken your real labor out and you've moved them into other initiatives. But what happens? What happens when this bot doesn't work one day because something has changed about the environment? The bots they're very sensitive to the environments. If that environment changes, if the data in the format in which it comes changes, bot stops working. What happens to the workload? Some of you have experienced maybe, hopefully not experienced the cloud strike related airline stoppages that happened, right? What did you see on those in the airports? Complete chaos, right? Because when the automated systems go down, everything needs to be done manually. And people have forgotten how to do things manually when everything gets automated. So how do you now deal with that? You need to have BCP plans for that. You need to have business continuity plans when you have bots running. So bots are good. They stand as a very good bridge between your current and your future. But you need to be careful how you plan to sustain your business in the long run and build adequate defenses around what could go wrong.
So you're not saying that bots are dead and hail AI. So you're saying bots will be there, right? But AI will also be there and maybe it will be before that.
Yes. Maybe a quick perspective to add. So bots, for us, and I recall being in nasscom conferences because nasscom's always wanting to talk about emerging technology. And RPA was sort of where AI is today, back in 2016-17. And as Franklin Templeton, we've gone through that journey of implementing multiple bots across different areas. And reflecting on our journey, what I would say is we're now at a place where we're saying where the bots were in place to address a systemic deficiency, we should address the system deficiency versus continuing with bots. So we're actively looking at retiring bots, number one. Number two is a lot of what bots used to do back in the day are things that can be done using newer technologies, low-code low-code technologies like Power Apps, through the Power Platform that we have. So we've invested in a number of citizen developers across the organization, and we've seen tremendous success in terms of moving away from RPA or bots to having things like Power Apps be able to automate the kind of things that were previously being driven by bots. So it's a fairly interesting journey, but I would say, we're in the phase of retiring a majority of our bots as we speak.
Okay, and I think the technology that will retire is AI, and good that Kedar, you have the mic with you. So how are you using AI? How are you using machine learning? No panel in today in any event is complete without discussing AI, right? So I think we have to do this, but...
How much time do we have, Achyut?
I think there was this tech in showcase that did not happen. So you have extra 15 minutes on top of the 18 minutes.
Right, okay. No, cool. I think, like you said, there's no conversation that I've attended at the industry level over the last year and a half or so that does not talk about AI, right?
Yes.
So clearly there is a tremendous amount of buzz about AI. And like we've seen, sometimes there's technology hype cycles. I would just kind of bring in a business perspective, less of a technology view and more of a business view, which is that AI is a transformative technology. AI existed in many forms and shape even before the buzz started, because the buzz really started with generative AI, which is one part of AI. But AI and machine learning have existed for the longest time. You also see in today's environment a lot of people throwing everything that is connected to automation under the garb of AI, because that is something that is clearly being talked about. From a Franklin perspective, we're extremely bullish about what AI can do for the business. And we're starting off with the view to say, what's most important from a technology like AI is how it can truly add value to the business from a top-line standpoint to start off with, from a product line standpoint. Clearly, I'll talk about service delivery, which is close to the space that I work on. But fundamentally, and I talked about Franklin Templeton managing investments on behalf of clients, right? And so we manage 1.7 trillion in US dollars of investment. To put that in perspective, that's 40% of India's GDP. Our clients range from institutional clients, sovereign wealth funds, governments, high net worth individuals like many of us and my co-panelists, as well as some of us in the audience, and retail investors like me, right? So all of us, invest in products of Franklin Templeton, and we are trying to really figure out what makes us successful is the kind of excess return that we generate for our clients versus the benchmarks that they otherwise invest in. And that process of a portfolio manager being able to look at a security, being able to come up with what securities to invest in, how do I build out my portfolio that generates the best returns, risk adjusted for my clients, is the product that we offer. And so what we're really focused on is how can AI truly help us in that journey. If you're a research analyst that is researching, as an example, the technology sector, you're looking at thousands of documents. You're looking at annual reports of companies. You're trying to scout through industry information that gives you the edge to be able to predict which companies are going to be more successful than others, and to be able to then build out financial models that enable you to invest. With AI, in my mind, you have a powerful digital assistant. Someone that can set the table for you. When you come to office as a portfolio manager, as a research person, 70% of that scouting through documents, looking at information, trying to come up with insights that might be of value to you are available to you. And so from a business standpoint, we're truly excited about what AI can bring in. And that's really the core area of investment for us, which is how can AI transform our product, which is investment management? How can AI transform our sales and distribution? Coming to operations, we're clearly kind of enthused by what it can offer. We're also concerned with the fact that AI likes to use the term hallucinations, right? Which in my books is just another nice name for screwing up, making an error, right? And with AI models, while an AI model can say, look, I just had a hallucination, as a service delivery organization, I can't go to a client and say, well, I just missed the zero in the investment that you made with us because my AI program hallucinated. And so for us, we're very conscious of what we're bringing to the table. We don't think AI is a solution for end-to-end outcomes today, but equally, we're looking at AI as a digital assistant. There are many areas in which AI is very powerful, including things like chatbots, fairly easy to implement, looking at procedures and how can you bring complex procedures and make them available in a chatbot sort of a format to associates, etc. So there's many areas that we have had some good success with, but in terms of how we can transform service delivery using AI, we're still scratching the surface through a number of proof of concepts.
So I think, Kedar, you just stopped short of saying that robo-advisors are here to stay.
Absolutely. Well, that's one of our products, by the way. So, full disclosure.
No, I remember the Flanked Templeton ad and the write-up that was there.
Sure.
Anything you want to add, Amit, PD?
I'll try to give a little bit of a technology perspective here. If you've heard of Gemini, we are using that very actively now in terms of working on our systems and modernizing our systems. I like what Amit said earlier. He said, where do you want your energy, where do you want to focus your talent and the energy, right? In our case, we're saying that, listen, if it's going to help you reduce your time by 30, 40, in some cases 70%, let's do that, right? Is it going to be 100% foolproof? Of course not. So we have been successful in trying that for a couple of implementations. We have also gone down the path of having a very customer-centric view. We have an entire portfolio that's focused on just the customer, and their AI is helping us. It's actually helping us from a predictive standpoint. And while we don't give advice on what you invest in, we definitely want to understand customer behaviors, and we want to be able to talk to them intelligently. So at least in those two use cases, we've been very successful. Jaspreet was up here talking about cyber. Of course, our CISO is very concerned about how we are using Gemini, how we are protecting them, making sure it's all within our firewall network. Of course, that is always there, but we have seen success definitely from a technology perspective. It's something that one shouldn't ignore, I would say, at this point.
Thank you for your comments, because many people say that getting ROI on AI is tough, and good to hear that you've got that. Amit, you want to add?
Yeah, sure. Considering the business part is done, the technology part about AI is done, what is left for me? I can be philosophical about AI. So today AI, AI has had many winters and many summers. I'm sure all of you are aware. It's not today's technology. Somewhere in the 1950s, somebody coined the term AI, and that's where it got started, and everybody had this dream of having machines think on their own. Now, I think this is where we are today is because of all the advancements that we have done so far, and we are still, like Kedar said, like PD said, we are scratching the surface. You should not miss out. I think that today's version of AI is what is known as a smart savant, which is basically, let's think about it this way, right? Let's say you have a topper in your class, you have a best performing employee in your team. You take the knowledge of that person and basically create a machine with that knowledge, and deploy that machine across your team. So now whatever is your best possible available knowledge, you are now able to deploy it in multiple places. So currently, but you can do that individually. So you take music, you can take a machine which does very good music. Now, obviously we are having music generating machines, we are having art generating machines, we are having natural language generating machines. So machines are getting really, really smart, and they are getting to a point where it is able to generate things, but they are only good at that particular thing. From some estimates, it will take us about 10 years to get to a point where a same machine can do multiple things as at the top quality. And a few more decades, potentially, where you will start having machines which can really start thinking beyond all of that, right? Now, so obviously that's the singularity and so on and so forth. That's why I said I'm going to get philosophical. Now, the only point that I'm making is that whether you deploy AI or not, is of course a business decision, and it also, the decision is based on what your current technology capability is. If you do not have good technology capability, then you should take help and at least understand. But don't miss out this opportunity to really shape the narrative on AI. It's very important that you get on the table where AI is getting discussed. If you are not on that table, then you are missing out an opportunity to define your future, because where AI is going to be 10 years from now will be very different from where it is today. And if you are not defining that, you're missing out the opportunity to define your own future.
Yeah, and I think the last point was very important. If you think that you know AI, we are wrong. All of us are wrong. This is barely the tip of the iceberg that we know today. And don't let what you know today limit yourself on what it can do in the future. So I think we can go on this topic, but let's move on to the next one, and this is about customer centricity. I think personalization, customization approach to your customer is great, but it's not very cost effective. Or is it? And PD, maybe you want to talk about whether personalization is possible while optimization is also possible along with it.
Well, your focus seems to be on ROI, and for the most part, any topic you can pick up, you're talking about
I'm an analyst.
ROI.
I can't help it. That's my...
I think it's fair. I was just starting to say we have stood up this portfolio where we are focused predominantly on customers, and the reason for that is the growth for us is going to be in acquisition of new customers and releasing new products. I think it's universal for all of us, right? Our growth has been in the last 10, 12 years, we've grown significantly outside the United States. We've captured about 90% of the market share in the US, so we don't have growth there anymore. So South America, many parts of Asia is all target for us. So for us to be able to understand the customer before we walk in is the most important thing, right? It's an end-to-end spectrum from prospective customers to the current customers you have, how you up and cross-sell, and how do you get paid. So it's an entire spectrum of it. Our implementations are actually focused end-to-end. Yeah, so for us it's end-to-end. We are not in a position yet to say, is this returning the correct levels of investment as yet? Where we are seeing it most effective is going into a prospective customer conversation. That is where we are seeing the most success. We would like to be able to get to a point where upselling and cross-selling is also much more predictable for us. There is also the idea of geographies, right? For us, new geographies is really important, and new demographics is also important for us. We have gone big on investing in some of the crypto futures, and we are seeing significant interest in that marketplace, and that is in different geographies which we had never penetrated. So I think it's a combination that for us, it's geographies, it's demographics, and predictability.
Thank you.
Just a quick perspective to add there, Achyut, would be, in fact, two. One would be about customer segmentation, right? And you said, is it even worth sort of, providing customized service? And we've got a high net worth business. And what we said is, look, every high net worth customer is in the same. Someone that invests 50 million with us is different than someone that invests 1 million with us. And the idea of saying that, how do you customize your service delivery model and your customer experience to what ultimately your client size is the thought process, right?
No,
which is, if you can get the ROI.
Yeah, I buy it for large customers. I think it's for the smaller customers is where the...
Correct. And for the smaller customers, the whole idea being, how can technology be the enabler to provide a customized experience at scale at a low cost? You can't be a white glove service provider for a low ticket customer, but now technology is enabling you to have that personalization level, because through data, through automation, through being able to look at data analytics, it doesn't cost you as much to be able to deliver personalized service, and that's something that's clearly of business value to assess.
Okay, could I say one more thing, because you asked for ROI? Data, the analytics is a very important point here. If you were on cloud, the majority of your cost there is going to be on compute. So if you're trying to do analytics on a lot of data in your system on-prem, you will find it to be cost prohibitive. So there is definitely a case to be made for, is the data on the clouds, we have storage cost, and analytics is compute. So it's definitely a case there for a predecessor for you to say, hey, I'm going to invest significantly in analytics.
Yeah, agree, especially when scale comes in, so I think that's much more important. Kedar, just moving on to operational excellence and efficiency as one of the levers for enabling service delivery excellence. Any thoughts on that? How do you really how do you really build your strategy around it?
Yeah, so look, I think operational excellence in general is a topic that's probably been beaten to death over the years, and anything that I will end up saying, will be probably things that this audience likely knows about. But there's two things I'd like to call out. One is operational excellence. You've got to start with the foundation to say, what is operational excellence trying to deliver towards? And that's really towards customer outcomes. And so how can you orient the way you think about operations, the way you think about processes, to ultimately connect the dots and say, well, these might operate in different silos. What's the business outcome you're trying to achieve? And how can the success measures of process excellence be connected with how the customers see it? So that's one. The second is, and I love the comment that I'd heard back in my B school days, which is culture eats strategy for breakfast, right? And to me, that's so foundational to saying, if you want to build a truly world-class operations excellence service delivery organization, it's got to be in the DNA of each and every person that is part of that team. And how do you drive the DNA is where leadership comes in, to say, being able to define what are the expected behaviors, be able to reward when you see those behaviors come through, being able to also call out and say, well, that's deviating from behaviors that you expect for people to have, I think is fundamental. And so I'd just call out those two aspects, Achyuta, around ops excellence.
Yeah, I think they're all very relevant, great. But do you think this is end of a process that you have come, or was this always the plan? Or, have you seen an evolution towards customer centricity driving process excellence? You've been in this industry for a long time, so,
yeah, so
I'm assuming it's a journey.
Correct. And Achyut, you started off saying this is about GCCs, right? So I'll kind of present the GCC voice here, which is also Franklin's story. We started off with less complex work. Today we have functional ownership, we have process ownership. You've got leaders like me and some of my colleagues that head global functions of Franklin Templeton. It's been a journey over nearly 20 plus years. What I will say is that it has been a conscious journey. What is important is intent. Things don't happen coincidentally, without you sort of, intentionally wanting to move in a particular direction. And that I think is key. We've been fairly intentional of saying the only way by which a GCC can really succeed in the long run is by measuring the value it adds to the organization. The cost advantages obviously, stay over a period of time, but that's not the reason, or that's not the only reason why a company would want to have a footprint in India. It's about talent, it's about the value, it's really about the thought leadership that a GCC can add to the global entity.
Great. I know we have short of time, so we have a couple of more questions to cover. Risk and compliance management, and I'll throw it open to the panel, right? I mean, anybody who want to pick it up, what are best practices around risk and compliance management that you as an organization has actually enabled, and what kind of challenges do you actually face while optimizing for this?
Yeah, if there was something called in your face, then this clock clearly seems to be, because, it's ticking away, and I think it's just the largest font that I've seen in a while, right?
Yeah, I've got some time more than this, but
right.
Yeah, it is in your face.
Yeah, no, so what I would say is, firstly, a risk framework, and I think the previous panel talked about governance. Governance is super important, starts from the top, in terms of how you recognize risk, how you measure risk, how do you ensure that you're continuously monitoring the risks that you're exposed to at the organizational level, and what kind of plans do you have to be able to mitigate them? And that constant sort of monitoring and governance framework, to me, is fairly fundamental.
Anyone else?
I will just add that as you would see, our regulator very, very regularly comes and says that we will not hesitate to close down anybody who is not following the KYC norms. As just to give an example, so making sure that you are compliant to the regulations is extremely important, and having governance on top of it to ensure that your processes are in line with your expectations is going to any day. And this is also a cultural thing. This is absolutely a cultural thing. You need to make sure that every part of your organization is on board with this.
Sure. PD, next question is for you around innovation and R&D, right? How do you foster a culture of innovation within your enterprise with regards to service delivery?
Okay. My answer may not be very popular, but I'll still say it. We truly believe that you hire people for their attitude and train them for skills. Some of the things we talked about today, we've talked about everything from blockchain to cloud to IoT to so many different things. If you tend to hire people with good attitude who are always willing to learn new things, I think you will be a very innovative company. I like what you said, culture will eat strategy for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I like that a lot. I think it's the most important thing for us in terms of our cloud and digital transformation. It's all about people. Whether it was AWS or Google, we would have still done fine. Right? I don't think we would have had a challenge. It's just people and alignment. I'll give one example. Because our business tends to be a little bit more complex, what we do, even with the students that we hire from the universities, we put them through what is called as a trading challenge. It's available on our website. Anybody can play it. It's real products, real prices, not real money, of course. So you play that so you get an appreciation of the business. Once you understand the business, you understand the products, you understand the customers, then to what Amit said earlier, you are going to go and solve the most important problems for the company. So you automatically build that thought about, I want to solve problems, I want to innovate. If you just said, oh, you have every Friday off 4 hours, you go and innovate, it never happens in any organization. So we strongly believe that understanding the business, customer, products, then you will probably come up with problems, right? That's how we actually grew. We were very late to the GCC game in India, just 9 years now, but we have several global roles. All of those are a function of how we were curious, how we understood the business, customers, and products.
Amit, KD, Kedar, you want to add on anything on this?
Yeah, no, I think, just in the interest of time, I'll pass.
Yeah, it's become red now, right? So, yeah.
In operations, it's never good to be red.
Exactly. We are not able to tolerate that.
Okay, so that means closing comments. You have an audience, and hopefully, to quote Russell Crowe, I hope you have been entertained. And if you have not been, the speakers are all here after the session, so you could basically bash them up. But summary comments, right? How do you want to close this? Any thoughts you want to leave the audience with?
We started this way with the introductions. Maybe Amit can go this time.
So I know that we spoke about a lot of things. If I want one thing for you to take away, I would say this. We spoke about AI at length. We spoke about Fintech at length. We spoke about GCC at length. We spoke about customers at length. One thing that goes across all of these themes is primarily that you as a leader, as an individual, as an expert, and as a leader, need to find yourself thinking of you as being very, very responsible towards your customer. Whether you use AI, when you use AI, you know that there are bad things that can happen with it. You need to find yourself being very, very responsible. So responsible AI is a very, very big concern, I would say, and a huge activity that you need to be involved with. And taking responsibility of your customer's experience is going to be your primary. So my key takeaway would be feel responsible for your customer. Feel very, very responsible for your customer. PD?
No, I agree with that. Fantastic. Well put. Thank you for the opportunity, guys. It was great.
Kedar?
That was easy, PD, right? I'm just going to say that it's super critical irrespective of the roles that we play in our respective firms, whether it's technology, operations, finance, HR, that we truly see ourselves as learning the business and being part of the business. And that to me is just super important. So,
Okay. Thank you.